going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and tonight what I have for you guys is a pretty massive video talking about new teasers for Season 3 Reloaded Zombies, custom maps potentially coming to console, and even some more surprise DLC that you may not have heard of. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, because about 70% of you that watch my videos aren't subscribed. So make sure you guys are getting notifications every time I update you on Black Ops Cold War. But nonetheless, thank you for allowing me to hit 57,000 beautiful subscribers. Truly means the world to me. And we're getting even closer to my longtime dream of 100k. Hopefully we can hit that in the next couple of months. But like I told you guys before, I usually aim for at least one zombies video a week. I know zombies news isn't the most interesting as of lately, but I do have some spicy topics to bring up here in tonight's video. Also, let me know in the comments, what are you guys going to be playing first when the Reloaded update does drop in about a week and a half? Will you be hunting the Outbreak Easter egg, playing some multiplayer, using the new weapons, or even hopping onto Warzone? Let me know all your thoughts down below. But first and foremost, we got a teaser from Treyarch's Twitter account today, which is referring to the Outbreak Zombies Easter egg. As they said, the hunt begins on May 20th. So without a doubt, the Outbreak Easter egg is dropping as soon as Reloaded update goes live on all platforms. And we got our wonderful blueprint teaser, as they've been doing for previous Zombies announcements. So as this says, we have the Beacon Communications receiver, the Psychotronics from Omega, and we have two post-it notes to read. The first one is from M, presumably Maxis. I have come into possession of this device. I think it will be useful for what lies ahead. We have somebody by the name of R responding with, I know what Omega is planning. We must stop them before it is too late. That's of course Ravenoff from the Firebase Z Easter egg. And Samantha and Ravenoff did click pretty well during the ending of the Firebase Z cutscene, so they'll be playing a large role in the Outbreak Easter egg and presumably future Zombies maps beyond that. So at the bottom of this blueprint, it does say the Beacon Communications receiver is designed for use with the Dark Aether beacon mechanism. Once the connection is established, the receiver enables communication through otherwise inaccessible broadcast frequencies. Could barely read that. Perfect for emergency field use, as the channel cannot be interrupted or decrypted through traditional methods. And it's a bit hard to read there, as you could see. Some of the text is faded. But yeah, this was approved by Dr. Valentina on the date July 23rd, 1984. Just the day before this blueprint was written, we actually have a document from July 22nd talking about Valentina's meeting with Kravchenko and how Operation Inversion isn't going exactly as she planned, but theories suggest that she could be possessed by the first one, or I should say the accursed one, who's currently in the Dark Aether, trying to persuade her to open up a beacon that bridges the gap between the Dark Aether and the real world. We'll talk more about the storyline in a couple of minutes if you guys are interested in that. But we also got a tweet from Kevin Drew, who works over at Treyarch, and he went ahead and said, bigger playground this time, can't wait to watch the hunt, and I'm hoping it takes just a little longer to solve. And I feel him, right? Because as easy as the quests seem on Dimashita and Firebase, a lot of work still goes into things like this. And when it comes to the Outbreak quest, it's unclear if you have to go from region to region to do certain steps. Are certain steps only completable in certain regions? I mean, there's a lot of questions with how this Easter egg could work, but it's something different that Treyarch hasn't done before. So of course they're excited about it. And there could be another main quest added in the future once other regions are added in. But for now, this could be a one and done. We'll talk more about that later in the video. But if the hunt is no longer than an hour and a half, if not shorter than that, people are going to be upset. But if Berlin drops relatively close to this release of the Outbreak Easter egg, then people should be fine with it. But I'm definitely hoping for at least a quest that takes 5+ hours, if not longer. I think quests that take at least over a day, not too much longer than that, resonate the best with the Zombies community overall. But it seems like the Outbreak main quest will be dealing all around Operation Inversion, which has me interested because the operation will be completed during the Outbreak quest, which then means Berlin and Zombies maps after that will see a world being taken over by entities escaping the Dark Aether. That could be what the calling cards were referring to, as I talked about in my previous Zombies video. One thing I want to mention is a certain tweet from Noah J456 where he's like, R, is it Richtofen? It was probably a joke, right? And he has every right to do that, don't get me wrong, but the problem is that with a large content creator like himself, even bringing Richtofen up, it doesn't do very much good for the community that's already stuck very heavily on the past when it comes to nostalgia, the old Aether storyline, you know, getting remasters in this game. You know, the community has to move on, and I think bringing up Richtofen doesn't really help with that. And you know what, we already had this Richtofen theory going around when Firebase Z was getting teased, because there was an R on some post-it note teasers for Firebase that we didn't know belonged to Ravenoff at the time, and people out there may not have done the Firebase Easter egg or saw the ending cutscene, so they might not know who Ravenoff is, so understandably they could think that the R means Richtofen. You know, I totally get that, but when it comes to how Eddie could return in this game, I am really stuck on the idea that Eddie won't pop up until some cliffhanger in the last Zombies map in Black Ops Cold War so that he could play a larger role in the next Treyarch Call of Duty. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. So if people continuously keep pushing that Richtofen is coming back ASAP and he doesn't, people are going to be setting their expectations way too high for something that I don't think is going to happen for quite some time. So if larger content creators would push for the community to give this new story a chance, get used to new original characters, and also reiterate that Craig Houston did say he doesn't want to bring back old characters in the same way they were back from World at War to Black Ops 4. If that message got pushed a lot more, I can guarantee you that the community would be in a much better state and would be more accepting of how the story is being told through Black Ops Cold War Zombies and this new Outbreak experience. Now, it does come to the storyline of the Outbreak Zombies Easter egg. I think people out there, once they read into this, may be more interested in what Outbreak has to offer, so let's give it a shot. So Dr. Valentina is planning on launching Operation Inversion, which allows nuclear warheads to bridge the gap between Dark Aether and our reality. So Requiem took away Sam's radio to talk to us, since someone like Carver doesn't fully trust Sam, considering Sam was in Dark Aether for quite a while, and she experienced some unusual activity and saw things that we still don't know much about. So some people in Requiem aren't fully trustworthy of Sam, so her radio was taken away, she can't communicate with us, and we know Ravenov has stolen a radio from Valentina, so there's going to be some triangle of communication going on during this Outbreak quest. And Dr. Valentina designed this device, as you see in the blueprint, so seemingly we'll be communicating with her once we activate this beacon. That's kind of my guess right now. So someone is going to contact us throughout the main quest when we use this device, probably Ravenov or Sam, but I think Valentina is going to just come out of left field and trigger something at some point throughout the Easter egg. Now, Ravenov believes he has the upper hand over Omega since he knows what they're planning, but I still don't think that's going to help us too much in terms of how our characters can beat Omega. And this is interesting, though. I think this is what Craig Houston meant when he mentioned in the Treyarch broadcast a couple of weeks ago that the story's about to shift in a much different direction than what we've seen so far. One thing that I said before is that Outbreak's main Easter egg sounds like a one and done, where going forward we'll still see new regions added or side objectives, some wonder weapons, but Treyarch's full focus may shift over to traditional round-based maps after this Easter egg is released for Outbreak, which could set up the possibility of seeing at least 3 more Zombies maps in seasons 4, 5, and 6 respectively. We'll talk more about that later in this video, but the thing about this actual Easter egg is if we're going to send nuclear warheads to different areas around the world, it may end up doing something similar to what the Moon ending did, where it hit 3 very distinct parts of the world, which essentially opened up a bunch of gateways and rifts and damaged time and space as we know it, and that's how we got Transit, Die-Rise, and Buried. So these nuclear warheads are probably going to hit Berlin and 2 other locations that we'll end up seeing as survival round-based maps later in the season. So that makes sense. I mean, by the time we get to Berlin, this operation may be complete, which I'm really excited about, but this is essentially the real nuke event that Warzone didn't get. Probably being able to see nukes launch from the Ural Mountains in Outbreak to whatever locations that they're intended to go to. So maybe we fail throughout this main quest or do something by mistake, and then boom, similar to Moon's vibes, we start seeing these rockets launching from the Ural Mountains to some other locations around the world, and those locations may have already been revealed on a map that we see in Firebase Z. New York was also one of them, so I'm very curious what New York could play like as a Black Ops Cold War Zombies experience. We could be seeing a New York multiplayer map, so maybe that's for Onslaught, but if not, we'll love to see a skyscraper type New York experience in the form of what, DLC 3, DLC 4, you never know what's happening with that. But also when it comes to the next iteration of Outbreak in Treyarch's Call of Duty for 2023, something nobody's really talked about yet is the fact that it might end up being the Nightmares mode that they couldn't fully execute in Black Ops 3. So Charlie Intel even reported on it that, yeah, Treyarch does intend on bringing Outbreak back in their next Call of Duty. So instead of having a linear copy-paste of campaign with zombies in it like Nightmares was, they can give us a semi-open world campaign-like experience featuring cutscenes and full quest upon release of the mode in the next Call of Duty. So it wouldn't be as linear as Nightmares, but could definitely take the Outbreak we have in this game to a different level, to where it feels like its own thing truly. I mean, not just playing zombies on Fireteam maps, which doesn't bother me anyway. I mean, being able to see Golova, Duga, and then Zoo in zombies before multiplayer Fireteam still makes the experience feel like it was meant for zombies, not just a reskin of a multiplayer map. But let's see what happens in the next game. And don't forget, we still have a non-Fireteam Outbreak experience that is confirmed and is coming at some point in the future. Codename Pizza mentioned that when he went on a Treyarch Q&A with other content creators. So could that be Green Run? I mean, I'm willing to bet that's the only way we see transit in Black Ops Cold War anyway, could we get a Victis Outbreak experience where they're in the Dark Aether and are able to visit Transit Diaries and Barry through an Outbreak-like experience where they warp from one location to another? That would be badass. I mean, like I said before, if Victis returns, then hey, it's gonna happen. But if they don't, I understand. Craig wants to go in a different direction. But the fact they're in the Dark Aether, have not been killed off, and are seemingly about to pop out once Operation Inversion takes place, then hopefully we get a cameo from them at some point, whether they're operators or guide us through a quest. But seeing those Victis remakes in the form of Outbreak, I know it wouldn't please everybody. Everybody wants to see traditional round-based Victis experiences remastered. I totally understand that, but I think I'd rather see them in Outbreak than not see them at all. Hopefully you guys agree with that. We then have new DLC weapons dropping Season 3 Reloaded, which include the AMP-63 as well as the baseball bat melee weapon. So we know the challenges for them in multiplayer, but in terms of zombies, here's a sneak peek at that. So in zombies, to unlock the AMP-63, using pistols, get X amount of critical kills. Don't know how many kills just yet. We're gonna know that once the Reloaded update does drop in about a week's time. And when it comes to the baseball bat, using a melee weapon, kill X enemies who are frozen by Frost Blast. So once again, we'll get the exact numbers once the update does go live, but that's kind of a taste as to what to expect when the weapons do release. I think it's great that they've made a change like this because it was a pretty massive request to be able to allow zombies players only to unlock new DLC weapons without having to touch multiplayer or even Warzone. It's a great step in the right direction. So without a doubt, Treyarch is listening to a lot of feedback when it comes to zombies updates, patches, bug fixes, and new features that people have wanted for quite some time. We also have a report on the Valve co-founder and CEO seemingly teasing bringing Steam games to console. So there's been rumors for a while about a Valve-like console releasing at some point, a Valve machine, a Steam machine. We saw something like that in the past, didn't work out too well, but that could still happen. But if that rumor does stick, then hey, maybe we're gonna end up seeing some custom zombies experiences playable on an Xbox Series X, maybe even a PlayStation at some point. This could be an Xbox exclusive deal that Valve rolls out in the next year. I'll keep that in mind for you guys, but I actually made a report on this and a separate video about, I wanna say a year and a half ago, when it was originally rumored that the Xbox Series X would be able to play Steam experiences. That got debunked a couple of months after I made that video, but it was a pretty heavy rumor for a number of weeks. So maybe that was in talks at one point, got scrapped or delayed, and now talks about that are resuming. So hey, that would be huge for the zombies community. If you're able to play custom zombies on console, finally, I mean, that's something that, in my opinion, could keep the round-based zombies community alive going forward if Outbreak isn't your thing. One thing I've been saying, you know, if Outbreak isn't your thing, if you don't like Onslaught, you don't have a PlayStation, if you're not a fan of D Machine on Firebase, then here's the thing. If you want to go play round-based maps, you could play previous Black Ops iterations, but there are constantly new badass custom maps dropping on the Steam Workshop weekly. But now they Call of Duty's transition to the Battlenet experience, they're not on Steam anymore. I think custom zombies for a game like Black Ops Cold War or future Treyarch titles is very, very unlikely unless they can somehow port mod tools into Battlenet, which I don't think is possible. Correct me in the comments if you're an engineer and have a better answer to that. So with that, look, if you're not a fan of the big gap between Firebase and Berlin, which could be 133 days, if not longer, then custom zombies could be your substitute. So if you don't own a PC, maybe this will be coming to console at some point, which will blow all of our minds. But there's also a possibility that if this does happen, it doesn't support older Steam experiences like Black Ops 3 and that Steam Workshop there. It could be some issues that they were into trying to make all that work for current gen platforms. People haven't yet accepted that Call of Duty, at least today, is meant to be played as a complete package. You can't just play Call of Duty like you used to, where you focus on one mode at a time. That was the way of the past, and even in the past that was rough, just playing only multiplayer, only zombies, because there wasn't much to do beyond just playing the same thing over and over again. There were no battle passes, season updates, weekly playlist changes, rotations with DLC weapons that frequently. We didn't have that back then. Now that we do, you could theoretically play one mode and be fine, but I think the Fortnite effect has had a real interesting, and I would almost argue negative effect in the industry, where people are expecting more and more frequent updates. Zombies just can't deliver that. I mean, maybe they could if they had 3 to 5 years to work on one Call of Duty. They could push out even more zombies content on a much more frequent basis, but right now they just can't do that. So it's almost like we have more content now than back then, but it's resonating less with the community, which is strange. It's almost hard to grasp, and we'll talk more about that in the podcast. We also have a new zombies region for Outbreak known as Zoo. So we talked about this briefly in a previous video. New gameplay screenshots were shared over on Twitter. Can't put them on screen for obvious reasons, but it does seem like Zoo is definitely the next Outbreak region, and it looks fantastic. Definitely coming to both zombies and, of course, Fireteam and multiplayer. So I just love the fact that we're getting early access to these bigger regions and zombies first. Gives zombies players something to thrive off of, right? It gives zombies players something where they can say, all right, we're getting something exclusive to zombies before it's even in multiplayer, instead of the other way around where you play it in Fireteam first, then zombies later. Maybe we'll get, 2 more Fireteam-like regions, Season 4 and 5, and then Season 6 could bring us that non-Fireteam Outbreak region, whether it's Green Round or something else. I'm looking forward to this, but if the Wonder Fizz machine is correct with 3 more perks coming, and we only get new perks when a new zombies map releases, then let's hope we get a round-based map in Season 4, 5, and 6 back to back to back. That'll definitely make up for the largest gap in between Firebase Z and Berlin, and it's excusable if that time went to a beautiful Outbreak Easter egg and it went to other surprise zombies updates that haven't been announced yet, and then they kind of clap back with 3 final survival maps to end off the Cold War season. That works for me, even if there isn't a year 2 with more remasters and other content when Sledgehammer's game is released. So if you look at when Season 3 is going to end, that's June 17th. That's when Season 4 is going to start. If that season is also 55 days like Season 3 was, that would leave us on August 11th, Season 5 would begin. And I'm gonna say that Seasons 5 and 6 will be a bit shorter, probably like 45 days, roughly, because they don't want to bleed too much into the next Call of Duty. But let's just say each season going forward is 55 days. Then after August 11th, 55 days after that is October the 5th. That would be when Season 5 ends and the final season of Black Ops Cold War does start. 55 days after that is November 30th. So it's probably cutting it too close or too far from the COD 2021 release. So I would say Season 6 will end at some point, maybe early to mid-November. That's just a guess right now. So that's just some quick math to give you a guesstimate on when future Zombies maps could drop, whether it's at the beginning or the middle of upcoming seasons in Black Ops Cold War. Now, last and definitely not least, when the Reloaded roadmap does drop in about a couple of days, maybe the beginning of next week, we know there's going to be zombies on that roadmap. They're not just going to have the Outbreak main quest on the roadmap. They're going to have some other bonuses on there that haven't been confirmed at this point. We know about at least the Onslaught LTM dropping, hopefully containment support for Mansion and Diesel, maybe even another LTM for D Machina and Firebase. Bring back Cranked. Why get rid of that, right? So let's see what other surprises they have in store for us. But if Season 4 through 6 has some massive zombie announcements and bonus maps we haven't heard of, that could definitely make up for the quote-unquote drought that we've seen since Season 2, Season 3. Outbreak, of course, is a massive success. I enjoy it. I play it quite a bit, but I know for the rest of the zombies community out there that isn't enjoying Outbreak, there is more than meets the eye what Treyarch has planned for future Zombies DLC. Don't you worry about that. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the teasers for Zombies in Season 3 Reloaded? How do you feel about the future of the Dark Aether storyline? Are you interested? Do you not care? Or are you more intrigued after we get a quote-unquote nuke event over in the Ural Mountains? Also, what are your thoughts on custom zombies potentially coming to console? And what are your thoughts on seeing at least 3 more survival maps in Seasons 4 through 6? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everyone.
Raptor 1 has secured strike team. Moving out.
Good hunting. Requiem thanks you for your support.